Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we discuss the Piaget Polo S Chronograph. The Polo S debuted in 2016 and revived the long-dormant Piaget Polo sports watch line for the modern era. This is the chronograph model in steel, 42 millimeters in diameter, 11.2 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, the watch is 46.7 millimeters. If we include the end links of the bracelet, it's still short across the wrist at an even 47 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw this watch on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see it's handsome. Flat enough to fit underneath the dress cuff and short across the wrist. I could recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, and I don't often do that on a 42 millimeter model. You can see it sits nicely, it's handsome, it's flat, it's flush, but it's still loomed steel, automatic winding, and 100 meters water resistant. So this is a sports watch through and through. We'll do a quick loom shot. Take a look there. As you can see, easy to read in the dark. Back to the light. Taking a look at the bracelet. The bracelet is integrated, as this is Piaget's entry into the voguish, modern, integrated bracelet sports watch market segment. And it's an interesting sort of bracelet with horizontally satinated intermediate links, primary links with an H-like profile. The primary links are polished on their top, satinated on their sides, and you'll note that pin sleeves are used to hold the removable links in place, but provided you have a block and a punch to do your sizing, every single link is removable, giving you a large degree of adjustment. You can also see that on each side there's an intermediate sized link in case you're in between link sizes and you need to fine tune. The clasp is a double fold deployant. It's a non-sequential close, so you can close either side first. You can see it's Piaget branded and satin finished internally. Twin trigger release, so it's not going to pop open accidentally. The case features a combination of polish and satin for contrast, and a little detail that I love, which is this kerf underneath the crown. The kerf allowing you to dig your nail in to more easily manipulate the crown when you wish to set your watch. You'll note that the watch features hacking seconds, though it's really only evident when the chronograph is active, as when the chronograph is not active, there's no running seconds hand on the watch. Thankfully, due to the vertical clutch engagement of this chronograph, you can leave the chrono running full-time with no additional hazard to the watch. So now, in addition to the hacking seconds function, we have a quick set date, so you can rapidly set the date if you need to do so. The watch includes a column wheel for chronograph operation, which means the operation is crisp to the touch, and also has a nice snappy sound to it. Now you can see the dial is metallic blue and that it features lateral striations. So let's take a close look there. Lateral striations add a little bit of directional texture to the dial. You can see that the sub-registers for chronograph minutes and chronograph hours have polished chapterings, then a concentric pattern internally, all applied hour indices. The case is a fascinating construction, well, relatively simple below the bezel. The bezel itself is inwardly stepped and then dramatically sloped so that the watch appears thinner than it is while on the wrist. Also, it uses an uncommon sort of directional graining for a sports watch, a lateral rather than top to bottom. You could see that the inner bezel, the crystal as well as the dial, have a sort of rounded square profile to them that's distinctive of this model. And then we have chronograph pushers, which are rounded rectangles and distinctive with a Piaget P on the crown. Turn it all over. We have what Piaget calls the caliber 1160P and Cartier calls the 1904 CHMC. This is a movement designed by Richemont movement engineering house Volflurier and used by several Richemont tenant brands as a high-grade mid-market column wheel vertical clutch chronograph. It's an automatic winder with a 50-hour power reserve. It uses ceramic bearings for high efficiency and minimal maintenance. You can see the crisp column wheel is visible through a skeletonization in the bridge. There is a balance beating away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and you can see it uses both a micrometric eccentric screw fine adjustment regulation system and, probably for most adjustments, Edicron, with the silver key being being used to adjust beat error and the gold one being used to adjust rate. You can also slide that index to make changes. The movement is handsomely decorated. This is actually to a higher standard of decoration than you'll find on the Cartier, so it's not as though the same movement was just plunked into two different watches unimproved. The Piaget movement is better finished than the Cartier version. Pivots on 35 jewels. Its distinctive features being a combination of both polished and fire blued screws with anthracite circular Côte de Genève on the rotor and rhodium plating with circular Côte de Genève on the bridges. A good-looking movement in a watch that is water-resistant down to 100 meters. This is a sports watch through and through. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.